What if I told you that you've been canceling your own prayers without knowing it? That certain words you use, certain ways you approach God, actually guarantee He won't answer. Not because He doesn't love you, but because you're violating spiritual laws you never knew existed. Stop what you're doing. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to expose the 3 types of prayers that God refuses to answer, why your most desperate prayers might be the problem, and the simple shift that can turn your prayer life from monologue to dialogue with the Creator of the universe. Here's what religion won't tell you. Not all prayers are equal. Jesus Himself said in Matthew 6:7, "When you pray, don't babble on and on as the Gentiles do. They think their prayers are answered merely by repeating their words again and again." James goes even further. James 4:3 says, "When you ask, you do not receive, because you ask with wrong motives." Think about that. You can be on your knees for hours, crying out to God, and He's not responding. Not because He's cruel, but because your prayer itself is the problem. Rebecca from Ohio messaged our channel with a story that will shake you. She prayed every single day for 3 years. Same prayer. "God, if you really love me, prove it by healing my mother." 3 years, every single day. Her mother passed away last year, but here's what happened next. Rebecca, broken and angry, finally asked God why He ignored her. And in that moment of raw honesty, she heard something that changed everything. "I wasn't ignoring you. You were ignoring me. You never once asked what I was trying to teach you through this." She realized she'd been praying at God, not with God. She'd been making demands, not having dialogue. She'd been treating God like a vending machine, not a father. The book of Isaiah puts it brutally. "When you spread out your hands in prayer, I hide my eyes from you. Even when you offer many prayers, I am not listening." Isaiah 1:15. Imagine that. God actively hiding His eyes from certain prayers. This isn't about God being petty. This is about spiritual laws as real as gravity. Just like you can't fly by flapping your arms, no matter how sincere you are, you can't get prayers answered by violating the principles of prayer. Daniel prayed for 21 days before his answer came. But Hannah? Her prayer was answered immediately. The difference wasn't God's mood. The difference was how they prayed. I'm about to show you 3 specific types of prayers that God will not, cannot answer, and more importantly, how to transform them into prayers that move heaven. The first prayer God won't answer is what I call the double-minded prayer. When your mouth says, "I believe," but your heart is already planning for failure. James 1:6-8 destroys any confusion about this. "But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do." Did you catch that? Should not expect to receive anything. Not might not probably won't, should not expect. 0, nothing. Prayer canceled. Here's how this actually looks. "God, please help me get this job, but I know you probably won't because you never answer my prayers anyway." Or, "Lord, heal my marriage, though I guess it's probably too late." Or my personal favorite, "God, I trust you completely, but I'm also going to have 3 backup plans just in case." Michael from Denver learned this the hard way. His construction business was failing. Every morning he'd pray, "God, save my business." But every afternoon he was already filling out job applications. Every evening, researching bankruptcy lawyers. His prayers said, "I believe you'll save this," but his actions screamed, "I know you won't." 6 months later, business dead. But here's what Michael told me. "Gabriel, God actually spoke to me after I lost everything. He said, 'I had 3 contracts lined up for you, but you never stood still long enough to receive them. Your doubt created so much noise you couldn't hear my directions.'" This is the brutal truth. Faith isn't just believing God can, it's believing God will. And more importantly, it's believing God will, even when everything suggests He won't. Peter walked on water, actual water. The laws of physics didn't change. His faith overrode them. But the second he doubted, he sank, not gradually, immediately. Doubt doesn't slowly weaken prayers, it cancels them instantly. Here's what nobody teaches. Your doubt doesn't hurt God's feelings. It violates spiritual law. It's like trying to receive a package while simultaneously refusing to open the door. The delivery exists, but your doubt blocks reception. Lisa from Portland prayed for a baby for 7 years. But she told me, "I realize now I was praying with one hand open and one hand closed. I'd pray for pregnancy while researching adoption agencies. I'd declare faith while buying pregnancy tests in bulk, already expecting negative results." When she finally understood this principle, she did something radical. She threw away the pregnancy tests, canceled the adoption meetings, told God, "Either you do this or it doesn't happen. I'm done with plan B." 3 months later, pregnant. Naturally, at 42. The prayer of hidden doubt isn't just ineffective, it's self-sabotaging. The second prayer God refuses is the bargaining prayer. "God, if you do this for me, then I'll do that for you." This isn't prayer, it's manipulation. And God doesn't negotiate with his children. Listen to what God says in Isaiah 55:8-9. "My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways." You can't bargain with someone who already owns everything and sees everything. Here's what bargaining prayers really sound like. "God, if you heal my child, I'll go to church every Sunday. Lord, give me this promotion, and I'll tithe 20% instead of 10%. Father, save my marriage and I'll never sin again." You know what's actually happening here? You're trying to bribe the judge of the universe. You're attempting to buy what's already been paid for. You're negotiating with someone who already knows you won't keep your end of the deal. Jennifer from Michigan made bargains with God for years. "If you help me lose weight, I'll stop gossiping." Weight lost. Gossiping continued. "If you heal my back, I'll read the Bible daily." Back healed. Bible collected dust. "If you save my son from addiction, I'll serve in ministry." Son got clean. She never served. She told me, "I finally realized I was treating God like a corrupt official I could pay off. But God doesn't want my negotiations. He wants my surrender." Here's the shocking biblical truth. Every promise from God is either unconditional or already has conditions clearly stated. You don't get to add your own terms to God's contracts. When Hannah prayed for a son, she didn't bargain. She made a vow, completely different. A vow says, "I will do this because of who you are," not, "I'll do this if you do that." She was giving, not trading, surrendering, not negotiating. King Hezekiah tried to bargain with God when he was dying. "Remember how faithful I've been." That's bargaining, trying to cash in good behavior points. God gave him 15 more years, but those years brought disaster. His showing off to Babylon eventually led to Israel's captivity. Bargained blessings often become curses. The bargaining prayer reveals something dark. You think God needs something from you, that you have leverage, that your service is payment rather than privilege. Carlos from Texas bargained with God during his wife's cancer diagnosis. "Heal her, and I'll become a missionary. I'll sell everything and go wherever you want." His wife died. Carlos was devastated, angry, confused. But then God spoke. "I didn't need you to become a missionary. I needed you to trust that I loved her even more than you did." Bargaining prayers assume God's will needs your permission or your payment. They're transactional, not relational, and God refuses to be reduced to a transaction. The third prayer God ignores is the lazy prayer, asking God to do what He's already empowered you to do. This is the prayer that wants harvest without planting, breakthrough without obedience, miracles without movement. James 2:17 cuts straight through this. Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Dead faith produces dead prayers. You can't pray for an open door while refusing to turn the doorknob. Here's what lazy prayers sound like. God, help me get healthy while eating junk food daily. Lord, provide financially while refusing to work or budget. Father, restore my relationship while continuing destructive patterns. Jesus, give me wisdom while never opening the Bible. This isn't about earning God's favor through works. It's about participating in your own miracle. God multiplied the loaves and fish, but the disciples had to distribute them. The walls of Jericho fell, but Israel had to march. The blind man received sight, but he had to go wash in the pool. David from California prayed for a job for 8 months. Every day, passionate prayers, desperate prayers. But he never updated his resume, never networked, never applied anywhere. He told me, I was waiting for God to drop a job in my lap. Finally, his pastor asked him, are you praying for provision or for magic? Because God provides through process, not through avoiding process. David updated his resume that week, applied to 5 jobs, got 3 interviews, started working within a month. Same God, same economy, same qualifications, different approach to prayer. Here's what religion won't admit. Sometimes God's answer to your prayer is, I already gave you the ability, now use it. You're praying for something to happen to you when God is waiting for something to happen through you. The Israelites at the Red Sea cried out to God. His response? Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move. Exodus 14:15. Prayer without corresponding action is spiritual laziness disguised as faith. Amanda from Seattle prayed for her anxiety to disappear for 2 years. Never tried therapy, never changed her diet, never exercised, never addressed her trauma, just prayed harder and harder for instant deliverance. One day she heard clearly, I've given you counselors, I've given you wisdom about health, I've given you tools and resources. Why do you keep asking for what I've already provided? She started therapy, changed her lifestyle, dealt with her past. The anxiety didn't vanish overnight. It decreased as she partnered with God in her healing. Prayer initiated the process, but action completed it. The lazy prayer wants God to override free will, bypass natural law, and eliminate process. It's asking God to live your life for you instead of empowering you to live it with Him. Now that you know the 3 prayers God won't answer, let me show you how to pray prayers that move heaven and earth. First, eliminate double-mindedness. When you pray, burn the backup plans. Jesus said, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11:24. Past tense, have received. Pray like it's already done. Thank God for the answer before you see it. This isn't positive thinking. It's spiritual law. Second, stop bargaining and start surrendering. Replace, if you, then I'll, with because you are, I will. Don't negotiate with God. Surrender to Him. He's not looking for deals. He's looking for devotion. Pray your will be done, and mean it, even if His will differs from your want. Third, marry your prayers with action. After you say amen, move your feet. If you're praying for healing, make the doctor's appointment. Praying for provision, update the resume. Praying for restoration, pick up the phone. God guides moving ships, not anchored ones. Here's the prayer that God always answers. Lord, show me what you want to do in this situation, and show me my part in it. This prayer aligns you with heaven's agenda rather than trying to align heaven with yours. Rachel from Boston discovered this. After 3 failed IVF attempts, she changed her prayer from, God, give me a baby, to God, what are you trying to do in my life right now? Within days, she felt led to foster care. First child she fostered, a newborn whose birth mother chose Rachel to adopt him. Today, she has 3 adopted children and says, I was praying for pregnancy when God was planning something better, parenthood without the pain I was insisting on. But here's the activation key nobody mentions. Start with gratitude. Every prayer should begin with thanking God for what He's already done. Gratitude aligns your heart, eliminates entitlement, and positions you to receive. You can't be double-minded while genuinely grateful. You can't bargain while truly thankful. You can't be lazy while actively appreciating. From today, audit your prayers. Are you believing or doubting, surrendering or negotiating, participating or just petitioning? In our last video about recovering everything you lost, I showed you how God restores what the enemy stole. But restoration requires right prayer. If you haven't watched that yet, click that video on your screen now, because wrong prayers can actually block your restoration. Remember, prayer isn't about changing God's mind, it's about aligning with His heart. The prayers God won't answer aren't rejected because He doesn't care. They're refused because He cares too much to enable your dysfunction. Your breakthrough might not be waiting for God to move. It might be waiting for you to pray correctly. With faith and alignment, Gabriel Elias, Pax Animae.